look at Floyd. Like, Floyd spends money like it's a tap. Like, he's got a tap. Just like unlimited amount of money. Money's just flowing. And even as much money as he's made in his career, which he's probably made as much, if not more money than any boxer ever, like, there's all these lawsuits. Like, he hasn't been paying things, and he owes money on this and owes money on that. And it's like, and then he's got to come out of retirement.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think it's just the lifestyle that Floyd lived.
Yes.
I think he can't fathom to just live a modest lifestyle. It's like he gotta be lavish.
Right. He's got to have those videos where he shows you all the watches, where he opens the case up, you know.
All the money. He gotta show that he got $1 million in his backpack. And, you know, he got the latest watch and the latest car, and look what I just bought.
And when you get into latest watches and latest cars, you get into that, like, boy, that money goes quick.
Yeah.
Bugattis are like $3 million. There's watches that are $3-5 million. That's crazy. So you buy a watch and a car, you're down 10. That's nuts.
Joe Rogan wasn't exactly subtle about his skepticism when Floyd Mayweather's real estate talk started surfacing. He practically pushed forward and said, "Wait a second, those numbers just don't make sense."
And one of the reasons why people watch him fight is not because he's like Mike Tyson, just goes out and destroys people. They like watching him fight because they hate him. Because he talks so much shit, and he's like, look at my $1 million watch, look at my fucking jet, look at my house, look at this. He's like constantly showing you all these things that he has. Like, he'll lay out watches in a hotel bed. Like, this is $1 million worth of watches. This watch goes for $2 million. And they're like, this is my small watch that I take sometimes, but when I'll show you, when I'll show up, I bring out the big boy, and it brings out this watch that's covered in diamonds. It's like $5 million. And so you hate him.
And Floyd owes like $1.4 million in jewelry debts, that Floyd owes like hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent for a private New York apartment. His private jet fuel, he's not paid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fuel and maintenance. He put up one of his jets that I think he even sold, but one of his jets, and I want to say one of his properties, like one of his homes, up as collateral for a $54 million loan from a individual, from a billionaire that had a 9% interest on the loan.
And that Floyd owes around $1.4 million in jewelry debt. That Floyd is behind hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent on a private New York apartment. His private jet fuel, he hasn't covered hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fuel and maintenance costs. He put up one of his jets, one he may have actually sold off since, and from what I can tell, one of his properties, like one of his homes, as collateral against a $54 million loan from a private individual, a billionaire, carrying 9% interest on that loan. Rogan pulled apart the whole story Floyd has been telling, the one about owning dozens of buildings worth tens of millions, pointing out that making big public claims and having assets you can actually verify on paper are two completely separate conversations.
He owe that money to the IRS. How much does he owe?
It's in the $20+ million range.
It's a lot of money, man.
But it's not something that he's been, it's not like deception.
No.
It's just neglect to pay.
Neglect. And it's also like, I think, and there is like a truth to this, he makes so much money, there's probably a point when they're like, hey, it's time to pay your taxes. And you go like, all right, here's a check for $25 million. That's an incredible amount of money. And then they go, that's true, but you owe 50 more. And he's just like, that can't be right. I've given you $25 million.
Yeah, he's bought over 100 luxury cars from the same dealer and always pays in cash.
He has $15 million worth of cars.
He's purchased over 100 luxury cars from the same dealer and always pays straight cash. $15 million worth of cars sitting there. Great, you can move those. And that's where things start getting interesting, because Floyd built the whole Money Mayweather persona around the idea of endless wealth. Cash stacks, luxury timepieces, a financial empire that seemed completely untouchable. But the reports circulating around the business world are painting a far more complicated picture.
$340 million lawsuit against Showtime Networks and former executive Steven Espinoza. So he's trying to get some bread right now.
The estimate is that he made over $1.2 billion over the course of his career in just earnings from fights.
Beyond anything that is reason. It's not merely fiscal insanity, it's something that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right, and another sign of him maybe in financial trouble is, as of February 2026, Floyd Mayweather has initiated a massive...
Doesn't have a peer because he owns all his own stuff as an independent. Your spending has to be so fiscally irresponsible to lose the amount of money that Floyd Mayweather has lost, that it is almost beyond that Floyd Mayweather is made, and because he's the best in the history of pay-per-view at making sure that the money ends up in his pocket. He is or has been a businessman as an athlete that almost doesn't...
Another sign that things might not be smooth sailing financially. As of February 2026, Floyd Mayweather has launched a massive $340 million lawsuit against Showtime Networks and former executive Steven Espinoza. So he's out here trying to bring money in right now. The estimate is that he pulled in over $1.2 billion across his entire career just from fight earnings alone. According to Business Insider, 2 of Mayweather's commercial properties have already gone through foreclosure. And there were even reports that his Las Vegas strip club building was at risk of being seized over unpaid property taxes. Stack on top of that the lawsuits claiming unpaid luxury watch and jewelry bills, something Floyd has pushed back on, and suddenly the whole conversation shifts from flexing rights to serious financial question.
They said that, things that they said in this article were insane. That Floyd owes like $1.4 million in jewelry debts, that Floyd owes like hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent for a private New York apartment, his private jet fuel. He's not paid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fuel and maintenance. He put up one of his jets that I think he even sold, but one of his jets, and I want to say one of his properties, like one of his homes, up as collateral for a $54 million loan.
The same outlet also pointed out that 2 Trump Las Vegas condos were temporarily taken over for unpaid taxes before being handed back after a payment came through. While a hefty $54 million loan reportedly had his homes, private jet, and businesses listed as collateral. Whether it's exaggeration, misunderstanding, or something else entirely, the gap between the money image and what these reports are suggesting has absolutely fired up the debate.
What's wrong with that? And why are we attempting to tease Floyd? Is Floyd Mayweather? Yes, he's broke. Of course he's broke. He's a boxer. Did they say can't read? That's not to tease him. They say that he can't read. His best friend at the time said that he can't read, and he never denied it. I don't tease him for it. He was a guy who grew up in a boxing gym, right? I mean, it's one of these things. You know what you know. You know what you were taught. They didn't teach him about contracts. They didn't teach him about saving. They didn't teach him about investments. Who would have taught him these things? Of course he's broke.
That whole Joe Rogan skepticism around Floyd's financial empire already had the conversation feeling a little unsteady. But then Shamal Saunders storms into the discussion like someone who just grabbed the mic and decided holding back is a waste of time. Shamal basically looks at the entire "Is Floyd broke?" headline and goes, "Why are we acting like this is somehow surprising?"
He's a gambling addict. Got baby mamas all over the... What do you mean is he broke? Of course he's broke. What boxer do you know that isn't broke? What a ridiculous question. But it's the fact that they're attempting to tease him. I mean, first off, they're asking the question. Look, I've told you until I'm blue in the face. The numbers that you hear in boxing simply aren't true. Floyd made $1 billion. No, he didn't. Floyd and Conor made $500 million. No, they didn't. Of course they didn't. Nobody's ever confirmed that. And it's the same thing with the check. I got $100 million for a fight. Oh, you did? Who signed the check? Whoever signed the check is going to want credit for it. There's never been a time that $1 million check was written and the dude that wrote the check didn't make sure that somebody found out he wrote the check. So who wrote the check? Floyd's got a whole bunch of them, apparently. He got $1 billion. Who wrote the check?
He literally flips the whole question back on the audience, saying if you wake up and drag yourself to work every week because you need the money, why would it suddenly be weird for a boxer to keep climbing through the ropes for the exact same reason? And I'm sitting here thinking that's peak Shamel logic, a half raw honesty, half pure chaos energy. But he doesn't stop there. Shamel starts tearing apart the mythology built around boxing paydays, pointing out that the billion-dollar earnings figures and those enormous pay-per-view claims mostly come from press releases rather than any publicly confirmed financial records, when he says nobody from the actual companies processing those pay-per-views has ever verified those outrageous numbers. That single line throws a grenade straight into years' worth of boxing hype and blows the whole narrative wide open.
And I'm only sharing with you, like, the numbers aren't what you think they are, right? The numbers are good and they made a lot of money, but it's not what you think it is. And yeah, of course Floyd's broke. Would you be boxing if you weren't? And it's very tough to be sympathetic to
At the same time, Shamel isn't just taking shots at Floyd specifically. He's going after the entire way sports finances get told and sold to the public. Then he pivots straight into the contract chaos, pointing out how Floyd announcing multiple fights around the supposed Tyson matchup would drive any promoter completely up the wall. Because in the fight business, timing and exclusivity aren't just important, they're everything. And that's where the irony lands hard. Shamel notes Floyd pointing the finger at Showtime over shady business practices.
Floyd Mayweather owes Logan Paul $1.3 million. No, he doesn't. Just to clear that up, no, he doesn't. Will Logan ever get the money? I think Floyd's broke. Floyd does not owe Logan $1.3 million. Floyd's promotion owes Logan $1.3 million. And no, of course he's not going to get it. That promotion's already shut down. Allegedly, by the way.
While critics are turning around and accusing Floyd's own promotion of pulling the same kind of confusion with Logan Paul. And suddenly, the whole narrative becomes a hall of mirrors where everybody is convinced someone else is the problem. All allegedly, by the way, yes. Shamel Saunders already tossed gasoline all over the Floyd might be broke conversation. But then Jason Whitlock and that panel jump in, and the whole discussion suddenly turns into a full-blown round table of financial detectives. And I'm sitting there thinking we've officially gone from fight analysis to forensic accounting with boxing gloves on. Whitlock kicks the whole thing off by leaning straight into Shannon Sharpe and Ossie's theory that Floyd coming out of retirement is basically just a payday chase. And the moment names like Canelo, Manny Pacquiao, and Terence Crawford start getting thrown into the mix, you can feel the business angle take over immediately. But then Whitlock jumps in with that Rocky movie reference. Why do you fight? And suddenly, the whole conversation takes this philosophical turn in the most unexpected and oddly funny way possible.
Shannon Sharpe and Ocho Cinco suggested on their podcast that Floyd Mayweather is talking about coming back, unretiring.
He is.
Because he's broke.
Yeah.
Let's play the clip here of Shannon Sharpe and Ocho Cinco.
There are only 3 fights that Floyd can have that can command and get the kind of money he's looking to recoup for money that may have been lost, or money that may have been stolen, or money he may have spent, to date. For one, a rematch with Canelo. That's one fight.
Canelo too big.
Listen to me, Unc. We talk about making that money. He ain't gonna have no choice.
Floyd built his entire brand around the idea that wealth equals success, literally going from pretty boy to money. And Whitlock zeroes in on the brutal irony of that. When your whole identity is constructed on being rich, any whisper of financial trouble instantly becomes a full-blown headline storm. Then Dree brings in a more grounded angle, saying the real issue isn't what Floyd earned, it's everything we can't see. The liquidity, the assets, the liabilities, the tax bills, the lifestyle costs. Basically the financial iceberg hiding underneath all those flashy Instagram posts. Meanwhile, the panel starts throwing in jokes about gamblers losing everything, IRS headaches, luxury spending habits, and suddenly Floyd's career starts looking less like a victory tour and more like a deeply complicated puzzle with missing pieces. But here's the part that actually makes me laugh. While half the panel is questioning the logic of watching a man pushing 50 step back between those ropes, the other half quietly admits what every real fight fan already knows in the back of their mind. If Floyd Mayweather actually locks in a fight against someone like Crawford, Canelo, or even Pacquiao again, every single person arguing about it right now will still be planted in front of a screen when that opening bell hits.
$1 billion and he's 47 years old and he's completely broke. He's won the prize. This is, of all the idiots that we've seen out there, celebrities, actors, entertainers that have lost a lot of money, this guy would take the cake. To blow a bill before he even hits 50 is unimaginable. It actually is sad. It's a cautionary tale. We have seen it time and time again. But who actually wants to watch this guy fight? Like, people that love him, if he comes out and what if he loses and looks terrible and gets destroyed? Well, look, if you love him or hate him, you can say, well, he's nearly 50 years old. This doesn't prove anything.
And that panel already turned the Floyd comeback story into a full-blown financial courtroom drama. But then Andre Ward slides into the conversation and the tone shifts immediately from hot take speculation to genuine fighter-level reflection. And honestly, that contrast hits completely different. Ward basically opens by reminding everyone that he has always had respect for Floyd's work ethic. And I'm nodding along because that part gets buried way too often when people only focus on the flash and the lifestyle. Ward says the glitz, the cars, the jets, all of that was part of the Mayweather brand packaging. But underneath all of it, there was always a gym-obsessed fighter who never walked away from the hard work. And when Ward admits he's genuinely torn about this comeback, you can feel the realness in that, because he's not piling on Floyd the way the rumor mill has been doing. He's pointing at something much deeper. Boxing doesn't just become your job, it becomes part of who you are.
Part of that is because of the way Floyd Mayweather goes about his business. He's been filthy rich. He's made his name, his legacy, and a lot of his reputation wasn't just the boxing, it was the money. It's the money man. What I have, what I'm driving, what I'm living in, what I'm flying in. And a lot of people, they don't like that. I don't know if Floyd Mayweather had more supporters for most of his fights or more haters. But regardless of where you fall on that line, Floyd Mayweather made it work for him when many people, promoters included, networks included, early on didn't think that he can do it.
That's the kind of perspective only someone who actually lived at that level can bring. Then he shifts toward the Pacquiao rematch angle, and suddenly the analyst side of me switches back on. Ward points out something genuinely interesting. Older fighters sometimes produce more action precisely because they can no longer rely on constant movement the way they used to. Less foot speed means more exchanges, and that idea alone flips the script on the narrative people keep repeating about this fight being a guaranteed snooze. But the tension Ward keeps coming back to is the very real danger that age brings with it. Your mind still believes you're the same fighter you always were, while your body is quietly telling a completely different story. That one line alone explains half the heartbreaking moments boxing has ever produced. And yet, even while Ward says he'd rather see both legends kicked back on a beach somewhere enjoying everything they've earned, he still admits that curiosity ends up winning every single time.
Gonna watch a fighter. He'll say he don't watch him, but he'll watch any potential opponent over and over and over, and he has to process, can he do anything with me? How does my skill set line up with his? Can I beat him? The problem with being 49 years of age is sometimes your brain can see things and tell you things that your body's not in agreement with. That's the problem with age. Your brain is still saying, I'm him. Your brain is still saying, man, I'm Money Mayweather. Man, these youngsters can't deal with me. But your body is saying, brother, we can't do it like that anymore.
And when you step back and look at this entire situation from a distance, it honestly feels like four completely separate realities crashing into each other all at once. Joe Rogan is picking apart the financial empire story. Shamal Saunders is tearing down the mythology built around boxing paydays. Whitlock's panel is dissecting the business decisions and lifestyle choices behind the headlines. And then Andre Ward walks in with the fighter's perspective, quietly reminding everybody that this sport gets into your blood in a way that no amount of money can ever fully replace. One side of this debate says Floyd's comeback is purely about hunting down one more massive payday. The other side says the financial rumors are nothing but blown-up gossip, and Ward's take sits in the middle of all of it, gently reminding us that sometimes fighters come back because the spotlight, the competition, and that specific rush are things that ordinary everyday life simply cannot recreate. That's the real tension running through all of this. Legacy versus longevity, business versus genuine passion. And whether people believe Floyd is chasing money, chasing history, or just chasing that feeling of being Money Mayweather one more time, the truth is the conversation itself is the proof of his pull. Because look at what's happening right now. Everybody is debating, arguing, and breaking down every single angle of this comeback story. And that right there is exactly the kind of gravitational force that only true legends carry with them in this sport.
That's the struggle, and that's the danger of coming back at this age. So part of me wants to see these guys continue to make money. Part of me wants to see these guys, how do they do it at this age? Man, show me something. Show me how your mind can overtake the deficiencies you may have in your body at your age. But the deeper part of me, man, I want to see Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao on a beach somewhere, living off the fruits of their labor, helping the game however they see fit to help the game, and just watching the next generations do what they do. But hey, we got a fight September 19th.
But hey, we actually have a fight date, September 19th. Now I want to hear what you think. Is Floyd Mayweather coming back because of the money, a genuine love for the sport, or is there unfinished legacy business he still needs to settle with Manny Pacquiao? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's really get into it. And hey, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to Boxing Headquarters. See you in the next one. This video is created purely for educational and informational purposes to keep the boxing community updated on the latest news, stories, and discussions. All commentary, analysis, and opinions expressed are intended as fair use under copyright law for the purpose of reporting, criticism, and public interest discussion. We do not claim ownership of any third-party names, brands, or public statements referenced in this video. All information is based on publicly available sources and is presented in good faith. AI assistance was used in the research and scripting process to make this content more unique, informative, and valuable for our audience. We are not making any definitive financial, legal, or personal claims about any individual. Always refer to original sources for full context